great. Never full screened. Good job, guys. Welcome, everybody, to this sort of bumper video where we're going to be predicting Screen Actors Guild Awards, the Producers Guild of America Awards, and the Independent Spirit Awards. Hello, I'm Ashley. Joining me as ever is AJ and Owen.
Hello, Internet.
However, two major points of order that we never brought up last night were the BAFTAs. One of which I'm surprised I really didn't acknowledge that much, which was like the big thing, which is like the headlines of like the audience was moved to tears. Michael J. Fox getting up to present Best Film was kind of amazing.
A part of me was hoping it was a bit, because is that the first time he's like been in public in a wheelchair?
Ooh, I want to say no, but the first time he would have been on an award stage, I'd have thought in the chair.
He's been doing cons for a while now, but I mean, probably the first time in that environment.
Understandably got a standing ovation. But then the other thing is something that's developed in the past 24 hours. So, remember how we were watching it, AJ? And we got to the end and Best Picture. And there was a guy with like an iPhone wire or whatever sticking out of his pocket, and I was just going, why is that wire sticking out of his pocket? And then by the end he realised that he needed to put it inside. Turns out he probably shouldn't have been there.
I was going to say, I didn't want to like say it because it was like, oh, he's probably somebody important and I don't want to undermine his importance. But it was like, in my head, I kept saying, who is that?
Apparently he is a known prankster. He's done the MOBO Awards, the music awards here in the UK. I think he also did the Ballon d'Or ceremony for soccer/football at some previous point. He's either on YouTube or TikTok, but apparently he is a known stage. So he, just like the Game Awards, except I guess the thing is, this guy didn't like want to praise, his rabbi Bill Clinton or whatever it was like that guy did 15 months ago. But yeah, we had a impromptu stage invader, and thankfully he didn't try and like be a prat about it. He just stood there.
I was gonna say, what's the prank exactly? Because he didn't do anything. Is it like the elaborate form of photobombing, or
maybe?
So this is funny that you mentioned this. Of course, I'm the one who didn't see the show. So we go back to, there was a show in the late 90s on MTV that was way before its time. And if it came out a couple years ago or maybe 10 years ago, it probably would have been the greatest thing in the world, but most people don't even remember it existing at all. There was a sketch show, which basically with pranksters, called Buzzkill. It was on MTV. And the people you would know from it obviously went on to other things, but the main person would be Dave Sheridan, who went on to a nice little film career of his own. He teamed with Travis Draft and Frank Huditz, and they were three guys that one of their gimmicks was they would break into these award shows because one of them looked like a fashion designer by the name of Isaac Mizrahi. And he literally pretended to be him, and people bought it, and he got on basically the red carpet, and he was able to pretty much infiltrate everything and almost got on the show. But it kind of fell apart at the very last minute, but it was almost there. So this guy apparently did what Frank Huditz couldn't do. Sorry, I had to shout out Buzzkill because that's exactly what it sounded like.
Well, I'm assuming the first reaction from people behind the scenes were, well, this can never happen again, or something to that effect.
Likely.
Yeah, so in an interesting move, the BAFTA statement says a social media prankster was removed by security last night after joining the winners of the final award on stage. We're taking this very seriously and don't wish to grant him any publicity by commenting further. And in turn, the Variety article covering it also says an alleged social media prankster who Variety has opted not to name. So nobody's wishing to give him the name, so then they search for him on the socials.
Yeah, if anybody does that, they're giving them what he wants.
I say so. The way all, in quotes, influencer pranksters should be treated, essentially.
Then again, maybe that was the actual warning of Mr. Swallow, because he did say in the event of a fire, the rankings are, the awards, the winners, the nominees, the guests, the general public, and then the influencers. So was Swallow warning us that the influencers were going to rise up and take to the stage?
So that segment had a point after all.
Yes.
Finally.
Except negatively. He might have caused it to happen. Great job.
Well, we have a lot to cover in this show, so yes. Should we get started?
Let me make sure I get a timestamp so I can put it in the thing. Yeah, we'll say 8 minutes 30 seconds. That's close enough. Shall we go in reverse order? So we'll do PGAs, then Spirits, then SAG.
That's the list I have.
PGA is certainly going to be the fastest.
Yeah. 3 points for Gryffindor.
Righty-ho. So, do you want me to name them off now, AJ, or are you confident in your internet to do it yourself?
I was gonna say, do you want to just in case? Because the second I get confidence in it, it's gonna
crack. Yeah.
Good bet.
Right. So, first up, within the documentary feature film category for PGA, the nominees are 20 Days in Mariupol, American Symphony, Beyond Utopia, The Disappearance of Sherahite, The Mother of All Lies, Smoke Sauna Sisterhood, and Squaring the Circle, The Story of Hypnosis.
Well, you could say it's for politics and stuff like that or whatever, but I feel like just for many reasons, 20 Days of Mariupol is just kind of running away at this point, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I can't conceivably see any of these others making a surprise win over it.
Yeah, I'm also going with Mariupol because I think it's just hitting the right momentum with other events happening involving Russia. Maybe putting sort of scrutiny, and also with the umming and ahhing over whether more aid or assistance needs to go to Ukraine in its efforts that most of the other nations of the world seem to be behind. So I think there's and there's a depiction of hell. 20 Days of Mariupol.
This was another year. I would say there's competition. Beyond Utopia and American Symphony jump out at me immediately as said competition and only competition. But at the end of the day, again, there's nothing else that needs to be said. Like I said, 3 points here. There's no way it's going to be anything different. 20 Days of Mariupol.
So then to animated, where we have The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Yesterday I said that The Boy and the Heron has been having a pretty good run with that Globe win and that BAFTA win and all that. But I also said I could imagine Spider-Man eventually kind of coming back by the time Oscar gets here and them kind of going with the bigger choice, especially since it does feel like the Across the Spider-Verse praise is sort of louder and more passionate, whereas Boy and the Heron feels more like routine Miyazaki praise rather than like, oh my god, this is one of the best things he's ever done. And like I said, probably a lot of praise coming from the fact that he might actually retire this time. So I feel like this will be the start of Across the Spider-Verse kind of winning its way back to its ultimate win. So I'm gonna say Spider-Verse here.
Yeah, I'm also going with Spider-Man. It's between the two of them, and I could easily see Boy and Heron getting it, but I feel there's been generally more love across at least most of the I know it doesn't matter because it's producers guild, but I just feel that there's been more love generally within like even the 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 critic circle sort of awards towards Spider-Man more than Boy and Heron. So I'm sticking with Spider-Man, but I won't be surprised if Boy and the Heron wins. It means we probably do officially have a 2-horse race when it comes to Oscar.
Actually, if Boy and the Heron takes this, Spider-Man's got a kind of an uphill battle.
Yeah. So Miyazaki's never been in contention here to win. He's never won this award before, and the original Spider-Man did win already.
I assume you mean the Producers Guild.
That's the thing I'm talking about at this point. There's no reason to talk about anything else yet. So looking at the PGA lineup, it makes sense that you're going to give it to Spider-Man again, and there's really no competition here, honestly. Boy and the Heron is the only actual competition, and like was mentioned momentarily, if it wins, then it might be the Oscar winner. It's very possible. I mean, it's not my choice, but neither is Spider-Man, so my choice isn't even nominated because then I haven't seen the two that I need to check out. Nimona has no release date anytime soon because I don't care about streaming or YouTube. And at the end of the day, I can't watch Robot Dreams until the summertime. So trust me, I will because it looks really funny. That being said, there's really no reason to prolong the inevitable. This is Spider-Man.
Something I didn't realise, which I should have maybe seen into. This is actually Miyazaki's first nomination.
Yeah, I didn't think that name popped up at all.
None of his films since the first award in 2000 or for the 2005 releases, which We're Rabbit were on, never as a Miyazaki or a Studio Ghibli film got nominated. So the fact that it makes it in here means, are the PGA trying to give him a career award? Because I could see it. Because the PGAs can be a bit fickle sometimes. So that's my only concern now looking into it. But, we'll stick with... We'll all go down with ship. 0 points or no points. And then finally... the feature film 10. Will this be the same predictions from us in 4 weeks. Or sorry, 2 weeks, maybe.
God.
So the PGA feature film list is American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Things, we're merging them, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Where have I heard this group of movies together before?
Too many times.
Fingers crossed that it's Oppenheimer. Which seems to be the direction we're headed, that's what I'm saying. But I still stand by, if there is a movie that's going to make a surprise attack here, I think it's The Holdovers. But I'm saying Oppenheimer.
I think Holdovers or Poor Things have the chance of being involved here, but I also too am going for the Oppenheimers.
I will say it's interesting because Holdovers and Poor Things both have the chance to win awards away from Oppenheimer later on down the line. So I feel this has always been a foregone conclusion. I don't think there's any other options at this point. If there's a contender, it has to pop up here, and if not, it's over. This is Oppenheimer.
Well, that was quick.
That was simple enough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now
Bad, all the rest of them are not simple.
Now we get unsimple.
Yes.
First, we acknowledge that Best Ensemble Cast in a New Scripted Series at the Independent Spirit Awards goes to Jury Duty. But then we get to the 5 TV awards now. So first up, Breakthrough Performance in a New Scripted Series, where we have Clark Bacco for The Changeling, Aria Mia Liberti for All the Light We Cannot See, Adjani Salmon for Dreaming Whilst Black, Kayvon Montreal Woodward for Last of Us, and Kari Young for I'm a Virgo.
I haven't watched any of these, so like most of the TV, I'm just gonna wing it. Well, the TV here, we can wing it. When we get to SAG, it might be a little more clear cut, but. So just my completely random guess is RMA Liberty for All the Light We Cannot See.
Just because I want it to win something, because I feel that it's not won anything at any of the award ceremonies yet. As if they think the second season's going to be better, even though they wouldn't be able to at the Independent Spirits. Can we please give something to The Last of Us? So I'm going with Kayvon Montreal Woodward.
So I looked at the nominations, and it's funny because both TV shows got 4, and those are the 2 that I had it down to. And at the last minute, pun not intended, I decided to go a different route. And yeah, honestly, when it looks at something, like Ashley said, got to give it credit for something at this point. And I feel that this might be the only stand for The Last of Us anytime soon. So yeah, Kevin Montreal Woodard for The Last of Us.
Because of the next cat, both of you say that about it needs to get something, and this might be its only chance. But let's go to the next category.
Are you trying to reveal our hands?
When I'm talking about something, I mean the award show. This is when it's going to get its.
Oh, the show itself.
The show itself, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Because I think this is the last opportunity for it until probably the Emmys in 2025 or maybe even 26, depending when season 2 gets released next year. Anyway, to best new non-scripted or documentary series, We have Showtime's Deadlocked, How America Shaped the Supreme Court. FX's Dear Mama. Showtime's Murder in Bighorn. Hulu's Stolen Youth Inside the Cult at Sarah Lawrence. And
Yes.
Netflix's Wrestlers.
Yes.
I was gonna stick with the Killers of the Flower Moon theme and say Murder in Bighorn, but then I wrote my other choice down, and I wrote my other choice down in ink. And as soon as I wrote my other choice down, I was like, I should have gone with Murder in Bighorn. But I ended up saying Stolen Youth.
Okay.
I am also saying Stolen Youth. I feel like it's good to know what's happening inside a cult.
Obviously, my heart wants to go with Wrestlers here, but I can't. If it wins, that's going to be awesome. But
I don't want Al Snow to win something.
I would totally love to see Al Snow win something. That'd be great. Fun fact: I got the very last Job Squad shirt that Al Snow ever produced before the licensing went to WWF. That's a shoot, by the way. Proudly wore that shirt. Murder in Bighorn was an option I had too, but for some reason I always clung to the same answer here, and the answer I'm going with is going to be splitting the panel. I'm going to go with Dear Mama.
I heard good things about most of them. Wrestlers to a lesser extent.
I always wanted to. I want to watch that show, but I need to find a way to. There's got to be something I can get.
For best supporting performance in a new scripted series, we have
Okay.
Murray Bartlett for The Last of Us, Billie Eilish for Swarm, Jack Farthing for Rain Dogs, Nick Offerman for The Last of Us, Adina Porter for The Changeling, Lewis Pullman for Lessons in Chemistry, Benny Safdie for The Curse, Luke Tenney for Shrinking, Olivia Washington for I'm a Virgo, and Jessica Williams for Shrinking.
Maybe I've got the wrong idea, but I immediately narrowed it down to Offerman and Bartlett.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to, if I'm not mistaken, follow the Emmy. So I said Offerman.
I went with Bartlett, but it's an either or because, it says a lot how people associate them with that series when they're in it for, I think, one episode out of 8. That's how impactful the story that we get with them is. To a lesser extent, it is in the game, but they did change some stuff from the game to the actual television stuff, but arguably you could either say it was just a different interpretation or it actually was even more hard hitting than the game actually hinted at or delivered. So yeah, I can see it being either way, but I went with Bartlett instead. But I'm hoping it's one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of hard at this point to go against seeing the name Billie Eilish pop up. Honestly, because I feel like it's gonna be a good time to be Billie Eilish and during this award season, in every way, shape, and form. And Benny Safdie jumped out at me too, because I'm sick and tired of that cursed rolling stock that I keep hearing all the time every time I go to movies. So it's kind of drilled into my head. But that Emma Stone thing worked really well for me back in the day. So yeah, we're not going to go there again. Yeah, it's down to the two Last of Us guys at this point. I think that makes the most sense. I absolutely hate the fact that they don't split up the categories. That's obnoxious. I don't like it. Yeah, Murray Bartlett.
Then in the lead performance,
This is not as easy.
we have Emma Corrin for A Murder at the End of the World, Dominique Fishback for Swarm, Betty Gilpin for Mrs. Davis, Jarrell Jerome for I'm a Virgo, Zoe Lister-Jones for Slip, Belle Powley for A Small Light, Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, Ramon Rodriguez for Will Trent, Ali Wong for The Beef, and Stephen Young for The Beef.
Well, shocker, I immediately narrowed it down to 2 again. The question is, Yun or
Which side of
Yun
the
or
beef
Wong?
are we on?
I almost said Yun or beef. Yun or Wong. I'm going with Ali Wong.
I really want to be wrong and have it be Bella Ramsey. But I too am also going with Ali Wong. Because I feel her character has to do a lot more crazier things in the thing rather than Yun's character to some extent. So they might acknowledge that more. But
I will probably live to regret this, and I'm fine with that at this point because if I'm going to lose, then I'm going to lose swinging. I'm not going with anybody from Beef. I feel the Spirit Awards is the one time that it's vulnerable, and only the time that it's vulnerable. So yeah, I am going with Bella Ramsey here.
okay. And then confusingly, for best new scripted series, we have Beef, Dreaming Whilst Black, I'm a Virgo, Jury Duty, and Slip. Where's The Last of Us? I mean, Jury Duty's already getting an award. It got the ensemble style award. Why is it in twice?
Yeah, that should probably be The Last of Us.
Is anybody not saying beef?
No, I'm beefing it up.
I want to go with I'm a Virgo, but given the fact that I didn't give it to Jerome, and I could have, and I just killed it here and there. If I'm not going to give it to its acting, then I'll just give it to its series itself. So yeah, Beef.
Quickly go through some of the comments and whatever. The big one I want to point out, Bry's comment. Netflix apparently fell asleep today. In that Nimona got put up in full for free on their YouTube channel. So people can catch up with it. They feel confident in it just like they did Trial of Chicago 7. Look how well that... Oh, no. So you can catch it even if you don't have a Netflix subscription. Josie says, hey team, currently reading 10 Tall Tales, a collection of short stories by Alistair Gray. With some ELO, some Jackson Browns, a number of Jimmy Buffett songs, and some Billy Joel, George Harrison's What Is Life, which needs to be in more films, please. Pearl Jam and Bare Naked Ladies. Josie also says, Taste of Things is officially my Only the Brave, AJ. Love the movie, but the title's stupid as fuck.
That's a deep cut, Josie. That's a long time viewer for you.
For some reason, I think it'd be cool to see Michael Douglas present Best Picture. I'm trying to work out
Last time he
who's old.
last time he did it was Chicago, wasn't it? He did it with
Yeah.
Kirk.
Yeah. Well, we've got some Oppenheimer trivia. The kitchen curtains have ginkgo tree leaves on them, of which a group of ginkgo trees famously managed to survive the Hiroshima bombings. Oppenheimer was shot under the working title of Gadget, which would have been a weird title. Einstein shown walking in the woods with Kurt Gödel. The two of them did take long walks together as friends at the Institute for Advanced Studies. Several scenes were shot on location at Princeton. Tom Conti found it very funny to walk through Princeton and have people react to him dressed as Einstein. Jack Quaid's Richard Feynman is shown playing bongos multiple times during the film, which apparently is true to form. Not only did he know how to do the Challenger disaster, where he was played by William Hurt in that TV movie thing, but apparently he also knew how to fuck up the bongos in a good way. What fictional movie president would you like to see Murphy's Oppenheimer build a bomb for? If he built for President Camacho in Idiocy, that would be hilarious. Or sorry, Idiocracy. Good question to ask since it's President's Day.
Harrison Ford in Air Force One had a good head on his shoulders. Of course, it probably could have been pretty.
Go ahead.
I mean, you know what direction I'm going when I say think it would have been useful in an alien invasion. Bill Pullman could have probably used it.
I feel we already have seen it. It was Peter Sellers' is president, whatever his name was, in Doctor Strangelove. Because everybody probably would have needed that about that time. Bryce says, "Oh, AJ, yesterday your favourite actress Rachel Zegler got the People's Choice Award for Action Movie Star of the Year for her role in the Hunger Games prequel."
And what do we say every year about the People's Choice Awards? Which I think it might be the point that Brian is making.
However, another big thing that happened from the People's Choice Awards, in a sort of Michael J. Fox-esque thing, the first public appearance by Jeremy Renner since his snowmobile accident last year. It was very well received as well. It's all happening.
The show looks like it lasted 72 hours.
I feel it was Grammys-esque, and they did a lot of stuff, at different times.
This proof positive GP should not vote for things. Holy crap. Some of this is ridiculous. Some of it's right, but God,
I was gonna say at least it's regulated to their own show. So
some Boy and the Heron stuff. Shoichi's voice actors in both the Japanese and English dubs. So Taika Kimura and Christian Bale provided Howl's voice in the same dubs for Howl's Moving Castle. Despite it not being nominated for anything, sadly, imagine SpongeBob in the ring with the Von Erichs in the Salty Splatoon. I mean, I don't know. Would the claw have any effect on a sponge?
No, if Flats couldn't beat him up, then that wouldn't work either.
Yeah.
It would work on Patrick.
That is if he's not at Weenie Hut Juniors or Weenie Hut General. Oh, and Billie Eilish won the People's Choice Award for the TV Performance of the Year for Swarm. Again, kind of proving Owen's point.
Hey, you also neglect to mention, Brian, and I'm sure you did this on absolute purpose. Taylor won quite a bit during the People's Choice Awards, so if you want to go there, we can go there.
This is such a wild discussion to have in the middle of the Spirit Awards.
I don't even know who some of these people are. Anyway.
Zoe Lister-Jones was also really good as Bowen Afraid. Sterling K. Brown has the same birthday, an Aries on April 5th as Peter Greenaway, Andrea Arnold, the late Gregory Peck, the late Bette Davis, and Roger Corman, and Melvin Douglas.
That is shoot 4 days away from my mom's birthday, Josie.
And their birthdays are a day after Downey Jr.'s on the 4th of April. And then add
All right.
in Flats versus one of the Von Erichs. And then
Flats is also Biff Tannen.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna try to take over the nominees, I think.
Okay. Also, Bryce says no. You have to call Patrick Tubby.
Go ahead, AJ.
So far it seems like we're holding out good as far as my connection, and secondly, I just feel like I'm not really doing anything, and it's driving me mad. So okay. I need
to. Accurate.
I'll briefly mention the three that we don't have to predict this year, because apparently we already know who's won them. Because the Truer Than Fiction Award went to Unseen from Seth Hernandez. Monique Walton got the Producers Award. And then the Someone to Watch Award went to Monica Sorrell for Mountains. And then the Ensemble Award, the Rob Altman Award, went to Showing Up, which, at least fitting with the traditional history, means Showing Up isn't in any of the other categories. Although it was last year with Women Talking, I vaguely remember, so who knows.
Next.
So the Cassavetes.
Mm-hmm.
Cassavetes?
The one I always forget because they don't put it with the other nominees for some reason.
Pretty much.
All right. Did we jack up the price again? It's now for under $1 million.
Yeah,
we did
it slightly. Yeah.
Pretty soon, this is just gonna be a regular award that means nothing. But we have The Artifice Girl, Cadeo Blanco, Fremont, Rotting in the Sun, and The Unknown Country. We've known for a while now that Sebastian Silva is insane, but in like a good, creative way. Rotting in the Sun is a lot. That's a lot of movie. So with it getting like a couple of other nominations, I kind of want to go with it, but I'm gonna go with The Unknown Country.
Remember how I said some of these I might be willing to give away points on last night, just to make the race more interesting? I'd have decided to do the obligatory, go for the one that doesn't have a Wikipedia rating. So I went with Cadeo Blanco.
I didn't even see that listed because it has nothing to say.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to The Unknown Country. Because if they want to acknowledge Lily Gladstone, that's the only way.
This rate, that might be the only way, period, during the rest of the season, other than getting thanks for getting nominated. I also went with The Unknown Country.
All right. Are we just gonna go in the reverse Wikipedia order, I guess?
I guess.
All right, that takes us to editing.
Okay, we are in the same boat. Okay, cool.
Where we have How to Blow Up a Pipeline, Rotting in the Sun, Theater Camp, Upon Entry, and We Grown Now. Okay, I'm gonna reiterate the point that I made before. Now that most people have seen it, it is very funny to me. No disrespect to this movie, I haven't seen it. I only have a vague idea of what it's about. But just kind of looking at the title and stuff like that, it is kind of funny to me that We Grown Now and American Fiction are in these awards together because We Grown Now sounds an awful lot like a story that would drive Monk Ellison crazy. I mean, I said I haven't seen the movie, so maybe I have the wrong idea, but that's just the vibe that I got. But I have seen 3 of these with Rotting in the Sun Theater Camp and Upon Entry, and I'm not going with either of those. Because to me, from what I've heard, it's more like action. I think it literally says here it's an action thriller. That sounds more like it's going to be more of an editing focus to me. So I'm going to guess How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
Ashley?
Myself and AJ had the same logic. If it's an action film, it better be spliced together properly. So, yeah, I also went with How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
So Spirits, I probably should be more worried about things at this point, but honestly, sometimes I just kind of want to throw a bone to something that I want to win instead of something I don't necessarily know if it will win. I'm going with Theater Camp.
Theater Camp probably would have been my second choice.
Yeah.
Because it's got a lot to juggle as well, especially with all the different characters and storylines. So, cinematography?
Yes.
I don't know about you guys, I got stuck on this one for a while.
I had a couple of options, and I wasn't sure which direction to go.
We've got All Dirt Road's Taste of Salt, Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, The Holdovers, Monica, and We Grown Now. So the question is, The Holdovers is really well shot. But it's one of those things where it's just like, it's The Holdovers, which is super high profile, and then 4 movies that are low profile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how much are they going to really look into the cinematography aspect? And if they should go with The Holdovers, is it just going for the high profile one or not? Like, can the sort of underdog, which is any of the other 4, somehow beat it out? The one I got stuck on was Monica, because I've seen Monica and it's very well shot. Like really, really well shot. But one that I haven't seen is All Dirt Road's Taste of Salt, and I took 2 things into account. One, he didn't direct it, but it's got Barry Jenkins' name on it. And if it's anything like After Sun, where it's like even a Barry Jenkins produced movie has a Barry Jenkins vibe, I could imagine it being very well shot. The other thing is apparently it's a movie with not a lot of dialogue, so it's very visually driven. So I kept wanting to say The Holdovers just based on it being the high profile one, but once I took that into account, I went with All Dirt Road's Taste of Salt. So this is a hard one.
Yeah, because now I'm doing a last minute change. Because the fact that it showed up in Best Feature Film and only other categories it made it in was editing and cinematography, I feel that they want to acknowledge, at least in some shape or form, the fact that they love We Grow Now. So I'm going with We Grow Now. Probably for the wrong one, but
The one that jumped out at me immediately was Monica. No, I obviously haven't seen it. Never. It was came and gone in my theater like real quick. Saw trailers for it. Definitely intrigued me. Definitely looks great, especially just the trailer alone. So if a trailer can get you, then that means that the movie is going to have to. Well, not always, but it's going to generally have to deliver the same. That being said, yeah, since everyone else didn't, I guess I'm going to. I guess I'm just going to go with the Holdovers.
It feels like the obvious choice.
That's what worries me about Spirits, because the obvious choice is almost never the correct answer.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like they make a really inspired choice, and other times it's like, oh, you just went with the high profile movie, and they kind of go. It's never like the same thing, so it's, you just have to roll the dice. Speaking of one where this decision lately has been a lot more difficult when you would think it isn't, international,
Yeah.
Mhm.
where we have Anatomy of a Fall, Godland, Mami Wata Totem, and the Zone of Interest. So, before all of this stuff, we would have said, oh, well, the Zone of Interest is usually taking it when it doesn't have higher competition, but if it's got movies that are more in the mix, like Anatomy of a Fall, then it won't. But we've been starting to see a steady rise in the Zone of Interest beating out, like, Anatomy of a Fall and Past Lives in categories like this, mainly with BAFTA recently. So the question is it BAFTA specifically that's getting into my head and making me say they'll say the Zone of Interest before Anatomy of a Fall? So I'm gonna say Anatomy of a Fall for the Spirit Award, but I could see them it starting a trend of no, we should keep saying the Zone of Interest.
I'm also going to go Anatomy of a Fall, just because I find it interesting that the international film, if Zone of Interest 1, would technically be an American film. Because if you look at the way it's listed as UK, Poland, and United States. So we're saying the best international film is a film that's co-made by the US. So how is that international?
So it's pretty cut and dry if you've been following along with me this season that I'm very pro Anatomy of a Fall and very anti Zone of Interest. Um, it's down between these two, but then I offer a third option, one that's not being talked about much, but still is in the background, potentially waiting to strike. That's Godland. I feel that Godland's the strong contender here and could literally like sweep the votes when they split. Of course, because I don't like points and I don't like to live on the edge when I am this close to finally winning a competition all these years. I'm also going to go with Anatomy of a Fall, and that is the correct answer, and it deserves to win everything it is nominated for.
All right, documentary.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting one.
We've got Bye Bye Tiberius, Four Daughters, Going to Mars, The Nicky Giovanni Project, Kokomo City, and The Mother of All Lies. Kokomo City and The Mother of All Lies did well throughout like the critics runs, but when in doubt, go with the Oscar nominee is what I would do. So I'm saying Four Daughters.
Okay.
Because of its subject matter, I feel being very more geared towards independent spirit stuff. I'm going with Kokomo City.
It was the only choice I ever made when I looked at this category. It just seemed like I could easily seeing it said by anybody, male or female, or even nondescript. When it comes down to it, I feel that this is Kokomo City's award to win.
Wow. Not sure if I don't lose that point.
I mean, the fact that Kokomo City was on my list, and God knows how many of them all got snubbed. It's like it's tough in itself. Like the ones that got snubbed would just be as good as what actually made it in.
All right. First screenplay. We got Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, May December, The Starling Girl, Theater Camp, and Upon Entry. Remember a really, really long time ago, 30 seconds ago, when I said go with the Oscar nominee? I mean, I could see them going with something more indie like Theater Camp. Here's the thing about Theater Camp and the Spirit Awards is I was in a really weird mood when I saw Theater Camp. Like even Iowa Debris was struggling to make me feel better, and she makes everything better. um, but I think one of the things that made me so bitter while I was watching it was it makes you wish you had a group of people that big to have that creative camaraderie with. So I could really, and I was really bitter at the time also because I was like, this was literally an entire movie made by fucking nepo babies. Who gives a shit? But but it's like the more I thought, the more it was like, I think I'm just bitter. I think I just want this, and that's what my problem is. So Theater Camp's probably a lovely movie. I'm sure it is actually. Many people have told me so. Um, so that's if you want to talk like independent spirit. I mean, that's something you'd really go for. But May December got an Oscar nomination and is pretty high profile and is in a lot of the bigger categories. So I'm gonna say May December.
I too am also going with May December, but for one reason alone. I want her to get up on stage and say, "Release Coyote versus Acme, you fucks." I wrote the script for it. It's damn good. And you just want to write it off as a tax write off. You bastards. I mean, we had it at the bloody Annies. We had somebody literally say, "Release Coyote versus Acme." I doubt WBD will listen because it's David Zaslav, the twat. All he cares about is making a profit, not actually the content of what's on his stuff.
I want to go with Theater Camp on this. I love the movie, and I feel that it makes perfect sense to win a Spirit Award. And this type of movie is made to win Independent Spirit Awards, and that's what it should do. Sadly, that's not a thing. And I'm also going with Sammy Birch here.
All right, so naturally we would follow up first screenplay with
First feature.
where we have All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt, Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, Earth Mama, 1001, Upon Entry. I'm not comfortable with how quickly I ruled out All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt. It's probably pretty in the running, but my mind immediately went to two.
Mm-hmm.
I already had one in mind, and then one won this category for BAFTA yesterday.
We on the same page? We have to be. We just have to be.
So what I narrowed it down to, well, I had my idea pre-BAFTA was 1001.
Yep, exact same thought process I had.
Now, mind you, when Earth Mama won yesterday at BAFTA, it had a different competition.
Sure.
So that doesn't mean it's going to win here.
Also correct.
And voters can't be swayed by that because it was literally fucking yesterday. I'm assuming everything's in now for Spirit Awards, probably.
I'm trying to see when. Where the hell is it?
Well, in the meantime, I did end up going with 1001, which is very good, by the way. I just saw it very recently. It's got a lot of Moonlight vibes in it, with the time jumping and the parental figures, both good and bad, and
yeah. Considering I already said that Kokomo City was gonna get Best Doc, it's gonna be a good night for Lena Waithe. She's going to be producing 2 award winners in 2 different films. I too am also going with 1001.
Absolute same thought process AJ had. 1001 was always my winner. Earth Mama winning BAFTA out of nowhere did not dissuade me one bit. 1001.
I also don't know if it was just my personal outlook because I was really cold on Earth Mama. Just something about it didn't click with me, and I just wasn't into it. But 1001, I really really like. Like I said, has a lot of Moonlight vibes in it, which I found appealing. While also feeling like this sort of Rockwell has her own voice, is what I'm saying. All right, screenplay. This one's not easy again.
No.
Because honestly, I could conceivably imagine Past Lives having a really good night. Whether it's in this timeline or a different one, I can imagine it. But our screenplay nominees are American Fiction, Birth, Rebirth, Bottoms, The Holdovers, and Past Lives. Love Bottoms so much, but obviously it's down to 3.
Yep.
3 Oscar nominees. And it's annoying because for a second I forgot that The Holdovers was not nominated. So I had a whole American Fiction versus Past Lives battle in my mind where I was like, oh fuck, The Holdovers is here. And that was my question was, is it going to be an American Fiction night or a Past Lives night? Or is it going to be really all over the place? But then once again, I remember The Holdovers was here. And even though American Fiction can definitely take this, or Past Lives can surprise and have a really good night, here I fell back on The Holdovers. So it's got to be the next few categories are going to be very repetitive.
After last night, I feel I sort of have to go with American Fiction. Realistically, it worked for me last night from out of nowhere. This time it'll be out of somewhere because BAFTA will give me a bit of a push. But yeah, I think I'm going to give the edge to American Fiction on this one.
Holdovers didn't get into picture. Bottoms belongs here, and in another year would definitely win this. Birth Rebirth is just happy to be nominated. So again, like AJ said, it goes down to his original thought process of American Fiction versus Past Lives. I don't think any of the wins so far are going to necessarily propel anything, but I could be proven wrong, and I'm probably going to be proven wrong. I would say Jefferson is definitely the person I'd want to win if I had to pick between. But, what if we get a surprise? And like AJ alluded to before, this is a very big night and the last big night that Past Lives gets. I have narratives in my mind about certain things being the last hurrah of certain movies and certain people. We'll talk about that as we progress in SAG. Yeah, I'm going with Celine Song.
No, we're actually split.
Here. I'm not comfortable, but I'm going to go with it.
Something I want to quickly point out. How come Cord Jefferson wasn't in the first screenplay?
That's the thing is, when Owen, your argument was that The Holdovers isn't in picture, and for that matter, Giamatti's not an actor.
Also correct.
The thing about it is, I really want to see a Spirit Awards ceremony that takes place before all the other ceremonies, because I feel like we'd have different results.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
They're the first nominees out in the season, pretty much. But then by the time we get to the end of the season, they're voting like it's the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Where I remember when Brie Larson was the only, wasn't Brie Larson the only nomination for Room?
Yep.
And then it's like, yeah, she won because she was going to win Best Actress at the Oscars the very next night, and everybody knew that. And it's like, would Brie Larson have stood a chance if the ceremony was like right after they gave the nominees out? I don't know. I feel like these really
different for sure.
Well, that goes back to the conversation we had about the holdovers and cinematography, where it's like, I feel like a lot of times they vote with momentum, but not always. So it's like that time Riz Ahmed beat Chadwick Boseman.
Yep,
that was very inspired. I mean, I would still have preferred Boseman, but to do what they did was, wow, you actually are independently thinking. It's nice.
Always bring up the wrestler beating the Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
That is the best example I could ever come up with.
See, if they want to be the first nominees out, I'd love for them to be the first ceremony sometime, just to see how they think independently and how close it actually is.
Yeah,
but
that'd be nice.
Then we'd just get the reverse effect and everybody would follow them. And then it's just this endless game of let's do what everybody else does.
God dang, that'd be dangerous.
Speaking of...
Not dangerous.
Breakthrough performance. We're not... the point I was making definitely fits with the next one, but breakthrough first. We've got Marshawn Lynch for Bottoms, Adewale Nazir for Mountains, Tia Moore for Earth Mama, Dominic Sessa for the Holdovers, and Nate Walizada for Fremont. I probably butchered that. Who's got the balls to not say Sessa?
The Uncut Gem.
My want is to go with Marshawn Lynch here. But I kind of like points. So, yeah, Sessa's winning this. There's no competition for him.
All right, and Best Supporting Randolph.
Shoot!
Oh,
it feels like such a waste of... It feels like such a waste. It's such a waste of breath to even say these 10 names.
No.
But I will.
One needs to be fucking said.
Darn right. Let's go.
All right.
2.
We have Erica Alexander for American Fiction over Leslie Uggams for some reason. Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. Noah Galvin for Theater Camp. Anne Hathaway for Eileen. The Man.
Know it.
Glenn Howerton for Blackberry. Which we should have been saying so much more throughout this season.
How the hell is that the only nomination in any of these categories for Blackberry?
God, why? So much waste.
We've also got Marin Ireland for Eileen. Charles Melton for May December, which would have been competition for Randolph 2 months ago. Speaking of, there she is. Catalina Sweater for Rotting in the Sun, and Ben Whishaw for Passages. And his asshole. Who's not saying Randolph?
Yeah. Is she going to trip in her dress this time? Who knows?
There's no reason to say it. It's Randolph. It's in the category Best Supporting Randolph. Come on.
She won't have to worry about tripping over her dress if they just literally put her seat on the fucking stage, because where else is she gonna go?
Just give her.
Where else does she need to be?
Just give her the Cody throne, and she can just chill there all night and just like lord over everyone. Oh, this one's tough.
Is it?
It should be.
I mean, there's maybe 1 or 2 potential surprises in here, but I feel like we know where it's going, and I'm not as annoyed with that as I am Randolph, because we haven't seen him win 150,000 times for a performance that's fine.
I like a lot of these performances, though.
We got Jessica Chastain for Memory, Greta Lee for Past Lives, Trace Lysett for Monica, Natalie Portman for May December, Judy Reyes for Birth Rebirth, Franz Rogowski for Passages, Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers, Teyana Taylor for 1001, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, and Teo Yu for Past Lives. I feel like Taylor's supporting, by the way, but whatever. I suppose it's not impossible that Andrew Scott could jump in here.
Yeah.
It's probably less likely than Andrew Scott, but still potential for Teo Yu, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, would you say he's more or less likely than... I guess maybe we'll say they're equally likely. The obvious choice would be Jeffrey Wright, which is what I'm saying.
Right.
So, I don't know if you guys want to take a curveball here or not, but I'm not.
Yeah, let's make this interesting. I'm going away from the quote-unquote safe answer of Jeffrey. And I'll say Greta Lee.
Oh. That'd be fun.
Dang it. I hate when he does that. Yeah. I hate to say this because it makes me feel that I had it first, even though he said it first. Yeah, Greta Lee.
Andrew Scott also getting noticed yesterday because the BBC reporter kept asking him about gay stuff because he was gay. Like,
So,
what's your reaction to stuff in Saltburn, a film you weren't even involved in? Great question.
So speaking of something that actually means something at this point, AJ actually mentioned something about the one-man Vanya that Andrew Scott is doing. I have actually seen the trailer for said one-man Vanya when I went to watch the documentary shorts on the other day.
They're doing the international broadcast of Vanya then.
One show. I think it's like 11:30 a.m. or something like that.
For some reason over here, I'm guessing the cinema might have got it wrong, but they've sort of got it programmed for the entire week. I think it's a glitch in the Matrix, but also the first screening that's supposed to be live, they're doing a screening 3.5 hours before it, even though it's supposed to be live. So, sus.
Oh, this actually is, I don't know.
Yeah. Director, we have Andrew Haig for All of Us Strangers, Todd Haynes for May December, William Oldroyd for Eileen, Ira Sachs for Passages, and Celine Song for Past Lives. I guess Haig and Haynes aren't out of the question.
Nope.
But kind of with ease, which probably should worry me. I said Celine Song. Hopefully I don't jinx her, because I would love to see that.
Just because I wanted to win something on the night, Andrew Haig for All of Us Strangers.
I do not have a problem with that. But I also said Celine Song.
All right. So I was trying to remember when the Farewell won for 2019, didn't it not win anything else? It felt like really random when that happened. I'm basically trying to set a precedent that feature here could be unpredictable.
Farewell won Best Supporting Female.
Zhao Jun.
But that's it.
So it did win something else.
What? Okay, that actually fits my narrative. So, our best feature nominees are All of Us Strangers, American Fiction, May December, Passages, Past Lives, and We Grown Now. I basically have it kind of evened out here because I have The Holdovers winning 3, and then I have Wright in lead performance, and I have Song in director. Even though Jefferson and Payne aren't in director for some reason. So I feel like it's evenly spread enough to where to match mine up, I could conceivably pick one of Past Lives or American Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Unless something else is going to take over. I ended up going with American Fiction. But like I said, if it ends up being like kind of a Past Lives night, that would be amazing. And it's not unbelievable. But
my pick is Past Lives.
My pick is, of course, Past Lives.
all right, so somebody's going to take the lead.
All else fails, it's time to start copying Ashley.
Well, something tells me it's about time to start copying each other because SAG is next.
Oh no, not again.
I don't know about you guys. I'm going super safe for most of SAG. because we've been given the opportunity to go super safe with like 90% of these.
There's a couple I'm swinging for, but there's justification for it. Maybe. I haven't decided yet.
All right,
There's
are we?
still one I haven't picked yet.
All right, are we going straight to SAG?
Yes. And then we got to knock out chat and take it home.
All right. Well, let's start with the stunt ensembles, I guess. We just do both stunts right away, right? And then we go into the televised stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. For our ensemble for TV, we have Saga, Barry, Beef, Last of Us, Mandalorian. Barry and Beef feel a little too low key for this. I canceled out the 2 Star Wars and landed on The Last of Us.
Let me quickly check the history. Okay, it didn't win. Okay, it didn't win. Well, it won in 2020. I'm going with Mando.
That's not out of the realm. I'm also going with The Last of Us.
And for the stunt ensemble for movies, we have Barbie, Guardians, Indiana Jones, John Wick, Mission Impossible. I narrowed it down to John Wick and Mission Impossible and landed on Mission Impossible.
It's kind of annoying because I was on the same reasoning. But the fact that there's never been a John Wick nominated before, despite how stunt heavy those films have been, I'm going with John Wick Chapter 4. Worth noting that what the hell was the last one? Fallout never even got recognised despite its stunts.
Mm-hmm.
And Rogue Nation lost out to Mad Max Fury Road, which I would kind of accept. But yeah, surprisingly, none of the other films. Sadly, it's not the first Indiana Jones that made it in stunts, because it made it in 08.
MCU does really well here. So my immediate thought process would go for Guardians. Then I looked at the more stunt heavy movies in the lineup and I thought exactly the same thing AJ did. Again, it sounds like I'm a broken record, so like I'm copying him, but I'm totally not. It's on here. I never need to change it. I'm going with Mission Impossible.
All right. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we're about to blow through TV. Because, like I said, I say again, disclaimer, I went super fucking safe. I went. You can hear Men Without Hats playing right now. It's so fucking safe in here in regards to these. So, need we waste any more time?
Go.
I haven't even pulled it up. Actress in a miniseries.
God, I gotta find it. Bottom. Okay, cool.
Uzo Aduba for Painkiller, Catherine Hahn for Tiny Beautiful Things, Brie Larson for Lessons in Chemistry, Bill Fowley for A Small Light, and Ali Wong for Beef. Anybody not saying Ali Wong?
Where is it? No, the beef.
Ali Wong.
The beef.
It is worth noting, SAG has gone off the beaten path before. It's kind of that case where if anybody's going to go off the beaten path for TV, it's probably SAG. But even with that in mind, I'm being super safe this year. So, speaking of actor in a miniseries, Matt Bomer for Fellow Travelers, John Hamm for Fargo, David Oyelowo for Lawman Bass Reeves, Tony Shalhoub for Mr. Monk's Last Case, and Stephen Yeun for Beef. Is there anybody that's not saying Stephen Yeun?
No, I'm saying Yeun. But part of me is like, Shalhoub nearly always wins, though. I know it's, technically it's the only TV film in here as well. Like, but no,
Yeah.
I'll go with Stephen Yeun.
Yeah, I concur. Fargo bit me too hard the last time I tried this, so I'm not going there again.
All right, the comedy categories.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
All right, for actress in a comedy series, we have Alex Borstein for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Rachel Brosnahan for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary, Iowa Devery for The Bear, and Hannah Waddingham for Ted Lasso. Is there anybody not saying the wonderful Iowa Devery?
Bottoms. Yeah.
I mean, it's me we're talking about here. The only answer I can give is April O'Neil.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. And for those just tuning in or aren't aware of what I said previously, I hope it's known that wonderful was not sarcastic.
No, not at all.
Sometimes it goes in that direction, but not this case. All right, here we go. Actor in a comedy series, we have Brett Goldstein for Ted Lasso, Bill Hader for Barry, Ebba Moss-Backrack for The Bear, Jason Sudeikis for Ted Lasso, and Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. It's going to pain me to see Bill Hader lose again, but that's the way it goes with Carrie Von Erich in here. So
He stole my line.
I knew it. Everybody had their character names before. Okay, I will say he is Liev Schreiber and Naomi Watts' son in that creepy story in movie 43. There we go.
Yeah, true.
Now I purposely don't want him to win for being associated with that shit. Anyway.
He was a kid at the time.
Anyway, the Bear.
The modern day warrior.
Well, speaking of, for ensemble in a comedy series, we have Abbott Elementary, Barry, The Bear, Only Murders in the Building, and Ted Lasso. Is anybody not saying The Bear? I mean, maybe Abbott Elementary wants to come back in and say hello, but I'm not saying The Bear. So.
I can actually see any of the 5 winning. Because there's good performances from everybody in all those 5. There's nobody that's like they phoned in the performance.
I mean, Barry would be too good to be true.
Yeah.
So I immediately rule that out.
I've also gone with the bear, but maybe they also want to recognize Ted Lasso. Because we're gonna get more bear in like 2 months.
I mean, when we did actress, I didn't want to rule out Hannah Waddingham right away, even though I did. I didn't want to, but
My counterpoint here was the bear, but again, if Hater's not going to win, the show's not going to win. So yeah, the bear.
All right.
The bear lost last year to Abbott Elementary. I didn't realize that.
It did, so it's time to win.
Yeah.
Abbott Elementary was the bee's knees last year.
Yes.
All right. Everybody loves Succession. Don't they?
Go to the Young Bucks. If you know, you know.
So, actress in a drama series is Jennifer Aniston for The Morning Show, Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, Kerry Russell for The Diplomat, and Sarah Snook for Succession. I feel like of all of these supposed locks, for some reason, I feel like Snook is the maybe most vulnerable one, but none of them feel vulnerable. This would be the one where I'd imagine they might possibly throw a curveball, but once again, I'm gonna stick with Sarah Snook anyway. So
SAG will probably prove themselves to be idiots and say Jennifer Aniston, but I'm going with Sarah Snook.
Shiv Roy!
Yeah.
So, who do you know that says that? Because I know you wouldn't make a Succession reference.
Nobody.
Really?
No.
Her name's on Wikipedia.
Yes.
Of course. Well, shall we continue this?
If you know, you know.
So, for actor in a drama series, we have Brian Cox for Succession, Billy Crudup for The Morning Show, Kieran Culkin for Succession, Matthew McFadden for Succession, and Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us. I mean, it's actors voting, and actors love Billy Crudup. I mean, yeah. I'm just throwing that out there. But you could say, oh man, it's down to Succession, guys. I think we can rule one of them out. Which brings us to Culkin and McFadden, and I'm gonna say Culkin. So, yeah. He has one. I never watched Succession, but he has one particular scene that I know about, which I imagine is probably. I mean, I'm sure it's the whole thing, but there's one scene in particular where I feel like it's kind of like that, sort of pushing him over the edge as far as voters go.
Fuck it, Pedro Pascal.
Wow.
Well, I feel SAG is more popularity contest than maybe what you did. Because how many times have we seen Viola Davis win for not very much, but because she's popular with the people? And I'm just wondering whether people actually want to throw Pedro Pascal a bone so he isn't crying again in his endless feud with Kieran Culkin.
So, I feel that it's pretty obvious to go here, and even though I want to also, like Ashley, want to throw a shout out to my boy in Driveway Dolls coming out this Friday in all your local cinemas, hopefully. If you have cinemas worth anything. I'm not. It's down to the 3 from Succession, which sadly I have to eliminate Brian Cox right away because that life isn't fair. SAG's interesting because Brian Cox has been nominated before, he didn't win. And Culkin's been nominated before, he didn't win. And McFadden has not been nominated yet, interestingly enough, in this category. So I honestly just want to go with McFadden here, but this is SAG, not the Globes and not the Emmys, so I'm going to go with Kieran Culkin as well.
All right. We ready for a real brain buster?
Oh God, let's go.
Ensemble in a drama series. We have The Crown, The Gilded Age, The Last of Us, The Morning Show, and Succession. Is anybody not saying Succession by any chance? Ashley, wanna take a swing for the fences? Or
I have to do the line that is synonymous with the production. Fuck off!
oh, he actually fucked up. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. To the delight of their government names of Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, I am also going with Succession.
All right, we are done predicting movies this season, or we are done predicting TV this season, right?
Dear God. We've got a lot of chat, but I can't really go into it because there's a lot to go into. I'll do the best I can until Ashley gets back. Hopefully, he won't be long.
I thought we were making really good time.
We were, and then he had to leave. Brian says, well, the people considers America Ferrera's monologue in Barbie the movie performance of the year. Yeah. Josie says, fun fact about Jeffrey Wright. So he has in common with David Oyelowo playing Martin Luther King in Boycott with, obviously, Selma. And in both productions, Carmen Ejogo played King's wife, Coretta Scott King, and Oyelowo played Muddy Waters in Who Do You Love, while Wright played him in Cadillac Records. That's a movie I like that most people don't even know exists.
If I remember correctly, he and Ejogo were married in real life for a while, too, which I'm kind of surprised Josie didn't bring up.
It's mentioned. The next thing was said while former wife.
Okay.
Apparently, Paul Giamatti played the human in charge of the talking orangutan in Dr. Dolittle, but he played a talking orangutan in charge of humans. Interesting.
Huh. I never thought about that.
Isn't that great? Bart Giamatti, Paul's dad, was the late president of Yale University, which of course was the nemesis of Rose.
I've been watching a lot of Paul Giamatti interviews this season. I feel like there's nothing I don't know about Paul Giamatti at this point.
I didn't even realise by moving and saying F off I caused a mic drop. Literally. What the hell?
Edited it off, Rampage. Let's knock out chat so we can do the movie and take this home. Brian, 6:53. Ashley, go.
I don't have times.
Cool.
Yeah, the people
Brian
consider
said,
America Ferrera's monologue in Barbie the movie performance of the year. Oh
yeah. Well. Okay, we're going with Brian's comment. Brian's comment about me. That's where we are.
Oh, you did the Jeffrey Wright stuff?
Yes, go.
From Josie. If Owen saw Zone of Interest before the Oscars nominations, he'd have booed in his reaction.
Possibly.
The Oscars website's also officially confirmed that Maita Alberdi is the solo nominee for The Eternal Memory. So Pablo Larraín is not an Oscar nominee. Oof.
Wow.
It's very Moonlight when Barry Jenkins and Adele Romansky are up for All Dirt Road State Assault. Teyana Taylor's rumoured to be in Paul Thomas Anderson's film. She has the same birthday.
I'm pretty sure she's confirmed to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
She has the same birthday as Finola Flanagan, Chuckles Kenneth Branagh, Jason Bateman's wife Amanda Anker, and the late Michael Clark Duncan. Hunter Hie's back. Hey, Hunter.
Welcome back, Hunter.
Although Emma Stone won BAFTA and Critics' Choice, if Lily manages to win SAG, could Emma Stone be in trouble? We'll get to that. Killian won BAFTA. If Giamatti wins SAG, is there a possibility that Killian might be in trouble? We'll get to that.
Hunter, I will ask you right now, as someone that worked in a movie theater for 16 years, I buried the lead when you just flippantly dropped the fact you've seen Drive-Away Dolls. Can you explain how?
Um, Joe said it's a tough race. Granted, last year Kate Blanchett was in this position before SAG, but I'm leaning towards Stone only because Poor Thing seems a little more liked than Tar was overall. Hunter says I watched All of Us Strangers, great movie. Scott, Mescal, and Bell were all awesome.
Yes.
And Hunter also says Butler was in the very similar scenario last year as well.
Yeah, I remember
The
that.
lead act stuff. Hunter's predictions are there, so we'll get to that in a minute. Did you guys see Polite Society? My mom and I loved that film. I feel personally nominated it for stunt ensemble as well as Godzilla -1.
How did Godzilla not get in Stunt Ensemble? That is a good question.
I blame John Williams.
I
Oh wait, it's not score. My bad.
I have not seen Polite Society.
It was at my theater for about a week and I totally missed it.
It's it's not my cup of tea, but I appreciated it for being an enjoyable thing. On the stunt categories, finally at the Oscars, they should call it the Cliff Booth Stunt Award. No, give it to I don't know.
Dar Robinson, Evel Knievel,
Vic Armstrong. I mean, he's been doing stunts. He's been directing stunts now since he stopped doing the stunts for 40-ish years.
Isn't Cliff loosely based on Hal Needham?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, clearly.
That could be a good one as well. Yeah. Who would win for ensemble for miniseries or TV film if SAG had that category? Ooh. I don't know.
I mean, Beef has been having a pretty dominant run.
The fact that Beef's in both categories, but then... Hang on, which is the one that actually does supporting? Is it Critics? Yeah, Critics is the only one that does supporting for limited series.
My question, as somebody who has to tolerate these TV awards that I don't understand or know anything about and just try to predict them, why is Hauser not nominated for anything else outside of one award show here and there? He should be nominated for everything.
Looking
What are
at
you talking about? What are you talking about?
Paul Walter Hauser. Why is he not nominated for more things?
Because Blackbird was last year.
No, I mean in general. It seems like he almost gets the short end of the stick for things.
I'm sure he will be, eventually. Once he gets, as soon as anytime he gets something as meaty as Blackbird, I'm sure he's made his place now. I think with Blackbird, so we'll probably be seeing him at more ceremonies.
The only thing I could see maybe toppling Beef on ensemble for miniseries would be Daisy Jones and the Six. It's probably.
You know what I'd like to know on that front, Owen, is if he made Richard Jewell at the status he's at right now.
Oh God,
that should have gotten him in. That should have gotten him in regardless. But if he had made Richard Jewell now, I'd like to know how well he would have done awards-wise.
Hunter says if Giamatti wins SAG, it might be over for Killian. We'll get to that. Josie says I still think Killian could still win if Giamatti wins SAG. After all, Killian could win SAG for all we know.
Yeah. It seems like we should probably do.
I'm just seeing, but Bryce said watch Bear actor Kerry Von Erich. It has to be Kerry Von Erich. He had one leg. Jeremy Allen's wife's birthday was 2 days ago. On the 17th. I was confused because for me it's 3 days. Same as Joseph Gordon-Levitt, one of Josie's friends. I hope you mean same as one of my friends, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Or is one of you... So do we have to guess which one of your friends is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Denise Richards, Lou Diamond Phillips, Rory Kinnear, or Hal Holbrook? You should be friends with Rory Kinnear. He's damn good. Oh, and Josie's saying a Red Eye reunion at SAG with Murphy and Cox. Maybe. But yeah.
It's a shame McAdams isn't joining the proceedings either. Or isn't joining the proceedings for Margaret, but whatever.
Crazy.
Yeah, we'll get into the rest of it because everybody seems to be discussing
stuff we haven't talked about yet. Let's go!
All right.
Let's get rid of Spirit Awards. Let's go.
All right. For supporting actress, we have the winner in my heart, Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, as well as Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, Penelope Cruz and Ferrari. Does it matter?
Nope.
Does any of it matter?
Nope.
Jodie Foster for Naiad, and Randolph. So, Randolph.
Hang on. Where is it? What did I put down? Oh yeah, Randolph.
Best supporting, Randolph goes to Randolph.
So here's the thing about supporting actor. When there's a sweep that I'm indifferent to, I do this with Randolph, where it's like, this shit again, for God's sake. But now when the person that I want to sweep is sweeping, I still have doubts.
You should.
It's like, if I was indifferent to Downey, I'd be saying, well, we know what this is, let's get it out of the way. But it's like, because I want Downey to win, I'm like, oh man, I hope it keeps going, but oh man, what if Gosling wants to do something? Or what if they go completely off? But we have Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Willem Dafoe for Poor Things, De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Downey for Oppenheimer, and Ryan Gosling for Barbie. So I'm hoping this Downey thing's going to continue, but for some reason, I get scared of Gosling sometimes.
In general?
Yes.
It's got to be the driver, right? Obviously.
I was gonna say, sometimes when I close my eyes at night, I see the driver, and the driver in the mask, and it's like, shit.
I worked with a guy in Texas that actually has that exact jacket. That's a shoot. And he was the driver for a Halloween party, and he won the costume contest.
Yeah, I'm going with the Son of a Prince.
There's no way Downey's losing this.
Careful with those words, man.
You're the jinx, not me.
Thing is, again, if we're talking popularity contest, Downey probably would edge over the rest of the four of them, so... You know.
I mean, he's Iron Man. I think that pretty much trumps almost anybody else that anybody has played.
All right. Let's get more interesting.
Yeah.
For actress, we have Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, Margot Robbie for Barbie, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. I mean, we have seen with Blunt and Idris Elba, if it's split up enough, they'll go for somebody that's not nominated for the Oscar. It's happened like twice in the span of however many years, but however many recent years. Maybe you just have to be British in order to get a SAG without an Oscar nomination. But I said I've been fearing this whole thing of Barbie getting sympathy votes after the faux outrage, but Barbie does not seem to have a lot of support. Am I imagining this?
We'll get there.
So, not that I was ever... By the way, this is just me talking and bullshitting, because I was never thinking about Robbie. I'm just saying, looking at all the possibilities to make it interesting. No, when you whittle it down to Gladstone and Stone, people will say, oh, Emma Stone won the BAFTA. That means we're headed towards that or whatever. Sometimes I look at Twitter when I really shouldn't, and I know I'm gonna hate myself afterwards. But yeah, and you might say not only that, but Gladstone wasn't even nominated for BAFTA. But we've had the discussion many times, especially with the way it is now. Not being nominated for BAFTA isn't a kiss of death.
Mm-mm.
It's just you weren't in that particular competition. Emma Stone did not have U.S. competition at that particular place.
No.
So they're still on equal footing when we go into SAG. And honestly, I'm saying Gladstone for SAG, which I think might propel her forward. Whether Stone winning so recently has anything to do with that, I don't know. It could really go either way. Frances McDormand didn't take very long to win another one. Holly only took, a few years? So yeah, it really could go either way, but I'm gonna stay on the Gladstone thing, actually, and have it kind of... I know Emma Stone also stole her thunder at Critics' Choice by taking that. What I feel like was kind of unexpectedly at the time. Because Gladstone had her Globe speech and became like the thing, and it's like, oh, it's the Gladstone season now, and then that kind of died off for a while. But I feel like this will be the resurrection of it, so that's what I'm feeling.
The name on the trophy does say Stone, but there's 4 letters before Stone. And then there's another 4 because I'm going with Lily Gladstone.
This is one of the toughest decisions I've had to make all season. Casting is the toughest decision, without a doubt, on this category, and we'll get to that in a minute. I have reasons for everything. You know, if it doesn't happen here, theoretically speaking, it's over. But things can still change. We still have one big award ceremony after SAG, and that's the big one. That even after everything, even after all the precursors go through, there could be a photo finish. Just because Emma Stone would win this doesn't mean Gladstone's not winning the Oscar, and vice versa. They could go inspired and go with somebody that's out of the running, as was mentioned previously. But at the end of the day, it's down to the Stones, whether there is a Glad in front of one or just an Emma in front of the other. Killers was in a great place for a long time, until it wasn't. Got all the nominations, but didn't do anything when it came to wins. Poor Things has done quite well for itself, and it will continue to do well for this season. That's why, again, I concur with the panel. 4 letters, GLADSTONE. Let's go.
Jed Stone.
Everyone knows I can't do math. Come on.
All right, let's see what happens here.
I realized I put 3 O's in Moon. I feel like an idiot. Go ahead.
For actor, we have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Colman Domingo for Rusta, and Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Kelly Murphy for Oppenheimer, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Again, sounds like a familiar lineup.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we've all been saying since the beginning of time, Giamatti and Murphy were going to split.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, I've already fucked up. Because I was saying, I think it's going to be the reverse of what people think it's going to be. And Giamatti will take BAFTA, and Murphy will take SAG. Obviously, that's already dead. So, the question now is if Giamatti's going to take this and make it a race, or if Murphy's about to end this. Because again, I guess technically the only thing pushing us in the direction of Giamatti was Critics' Choice, which we have said many times over doesn't fucking matter. So you can look at that with Stone too if you really want to. The thing that's in my head is that there's been a lot of love surrounding Giamatti for this movie specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And SAG voters, there's going to be a big chunk of people voting that have been working with and loving Giamatti for decades. So that's what you take into account when it's just the actors voting.
Mm-hmm.
It's people who have had pleasant experiences with him over decades,
Sure.
being inspired by him and learning from him while working with him and watching him. He's fucking Paul Giamatti, and that is not a name that goes lightly in the acting world. He's modest, but he's got that reputation. And Cillian Murphy has a performance that quite a few actors have been calling one of the greatest of all time. Mind you, a lot of them worked on Oppenheimer, but still. Still. So yeah, it's really just a matter of if Murphy is going to end the race here. But I'm going to keep it interesting. I'm going to say they go Giamatti this time, and it's a real race. But as you can see, it clearly would not be surprising if Murphy just ended the race now. So we'll see what happens.
So what are you going for?
Giamatti.
Right. Do I go with my heart, or do I go with the other part of my heart? That's the problem. Um. Just because he's won before, I'm gonna edge it to Giamatti. Um, okay, he's won multiple times technically, but two of them were in the TV category, so he is highly regarded. So yeah, despite the fact he was Rhino, I'm also giving it to Giamatti.
Now, there was only going to be two choices here. And one of the things I wanted to throw out was a third option, but there's no reason to even go there at this point. Jeffrey Wright would be nice in this conversation too, but I don't think we're there. Giamatti's done quite well for himself getting nominated, but when it comes to SAG, he hasn't won before. So it's time. It is the place, and it will finally happen. Paul Giamatti's going to shake this race up, and he's going to be one of the only people that's going to take anything away from Oppenheimer this season.
Besides Randolph. But you mean something in Oppenheimer's sights.
The holdovers are going to be the only competition in general to Oppenheimer across the board.
Great. That's crazy.
Tell me about it. Remember when this was supposed to be Poor Things? Where did that come from?
No, Poor Things has costumes and production design down. Yeah, I feel like, but I mean, it's still. I feel like it's still fighting Barbie for those, but.
Yes.
Which is why I'm kind of amazed that Poor Things didn't make it in ensemble.
Yeah, that's still weirding me out.
But Color Purple did, despite the fact that it only got one recognition. They didn't even put it in supporting. They put Penelope Cruz in.
Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about ensemble?
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah. Okay. Indifferent.
Understatement.
We have American Fiction, Barbie, The Color Purple, Kill the Flower Moon, and Oppenheimer. There's one movie that's been reigning, and it could clearly continue that here. But I went another direction and narrowed it down to two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, I would like to see it be Oppenheimer. But the two I narrowed it down to, neither of which is Oppenheimer is neither one of those.
Nope.
I came to a conclusion. I'm building a little narrative here.
Where this is the conversation I've been thinking about all day. If you're about to take it from me, oh my gosh, get out of my head.
We've talked about stuff like Spotlight and Parasite and Coda.
Mm-hmm.
These movies that come in and they snag SAG Ensemble, and that kind of ends up being the driving force for them to win big.
Yeah.
All three of those are Best Picture winners, is what I mean. For the uninitiated. So we've been toying with the theory of whoever wins SAG Ensemble is not out of the picture running. I'm taking that in another direction.
God dang it.
Whoever wins SAG Ensemble will decide who I'm predicting for adapted screenplay.
You son of a... Not the same narrative, but we're on the same page.
So I hope Oppenheimer's like good to go. So like I said, I feel like whoever's going to take this will indicate, because I've had 2 movies down for adapted screenplay for a while now, even though we're still not doing that video for like another week or 2. And this will be how I decide it. SAG's going to help me decide who fucking wins adapted screenplay, which means obviously I have it down to American Fiction and Barbie. Like I was saying before, Barbie is going to need some kind of show of support. So if it won Ensemble, that would be nice for Barbie. Because like I said, even production design and costumes it would be really big competition for, but Poor Things seems to be doing pretty well there in place of it. So I guess that pushed me away because I said American Fiction. And Color Purple and Killers are happy to be here, especially over the holdovers and Poor Things.
I'm wincing because I'm going to say Oppenheimer. I don't know why I'm wincing. I guess because it's closer than I think it has been sometimes in previous times. You know, when I said Parasite, I was confident in it. When I said whatever,
well,
I can't remember whether I even got it right last year because I don't have the predictions in front of me.
Well, what would be great about Oppenheimer winning Ensemble is people would say this, but it wouldn't just be because it's the picture frontrunner. It would be because every performance in it is top tier. Like everybody's at the top of their game in Oppenheimer in every aspect.
All right. He's not necessarily stealing my thunder because I have a different route to go with this. Generally speaking, SAG Ensemble is a big deal and usually goes to a picture frontrunner. But then you got stuff like Trial of the Chicago 7 and Black Panther and Hidden Figures for that matter. So Color Purple would be inspired, and it'd be the only thing that's got a chance to win, probably for the rest of the season. If Gladstone wins SAG, potentially that would mean that Killers is going to get Actress of the Oscar, potentially. So think about it from that perspective. So they're fine. They got their flowers. We're good to go. It goes down to the 3. Oppenheimer's the juggernaut. I immediately take it out of contention because although it does deserve it, there's other narratives in place for it to win really big, like double digits on Oscar Sunday, and deservedly so. So, just like AJ, I had it narrowed down to the two. Cord Jefferson's doing well for himself. Feel that's not in the bag, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that it happens. Sterling K. Brown got nominated. Jeffrey Wright got nominated. They're not going to win, but visibility. I bring that up every single season. But at the end of the day, Cord Jefferson is going to potentially propel a big win for American Fiction. So, again, got your flowers. This leaves us with The Outlier, the movie that everybody's been saying has been the underdog story of this season. The one that gets nominated for nearly everything, but walks away with next to nothing. It's acting nominations, all the controversy, whether made up or real, it's all there. The narrative's been there since day one. And honestly, other than Billie Eilish walking out with the Oscar, there's not much anything Barbie can foreseeably win. So if they're going to do something, why not? That's my narrative. If you're going to give the flowers to Cord Jefferson and you give the kudos to The Color Purple, you give the accolade to Lily Gladstone, and you give Oppenheimer the world, what's left? SAG Ensemble. That's right. It makes sense in my head. I'm going with Barbie because that is its last bit to win, and that's its flowers for this season. Don't nominate anybody but the entire cast, and then that way everyone gets their moment, gets to go on stage, and the whole season wins.
So Hunter has Randolph for supporting actress, Downey Jr. for supporting actor, Gladstone for actress, Murphy for actor, and Oppenheimer for ensemble. Hunter also says, what do you think would happen if Annette Bening won SAG? It means she'd be in the race, I would argue.
There's got to be a reason she's here.
If Emma Stone wins SAG, it's probably over, says Hunter as well. But yeah, on the Annette Bening thing, that again, I wouldn't rule it out. Because Annette, well, I think she's won before.
No.
Well, I think that was for ensemble for American Beauty rather than outright at SAG.
I would say if Benning won SAG, that might actually be a case where Stone, having just won recently, might play against her. Where it would be Benning's a legend that's been nominated so many times and never won, and Stone.
I was wrong.
I mean, 2016 wasn't yesterday, but it wasn't that long ago either. Because normally I don't think that like I said, what we just saw with Ali and McDormand, I feel like it does not matter how close your last win was. But in that particular, that might be something that would change that if Benning was her competition.
I was wrong. Benning did win SAG for American Beauty.
Oh.
Then the irony is she lost to Hilary Swank for $1 Million Baby in 2004. Yeah. Which I guess then was at least, followed up,
She lost to Swank both times.
Yeah. Yeah. And then lost to Natalie Portman for Black Swan back in 2010. But she has won before. She has won a SAG. Not just an ensemble one as well. An actual not ensemble.
Yeah, I was mistaken on that also.
Do you think Killers of the Flower Moon could be this year's Elvis by going home empty-handed?
If Gladstone
that's
doesn't
related to the Academy stuff, Maybe.
I suppose. Don't quote me on this. Just don't. I would be interested to see if it's surprised in song.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a shock at this point.
But yeah, I'm kind of going all in on Gladstone at the moment, so that's kind of a moot point to me. But
Hunter has clarified they work at the movie theater and test screens is how they caught drive-away dolls.
That's cool. I was a projectionist at my movie theater for several years before I left the company. Me and AJ both previewed movies back in those days. And my last movie, ironically enough, that I built, I looked at this the other day, AJ, was actually La La Land.
of course,
Yep, how appropriate.
Best Picture loser, La La Land.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have plausible deniability. She does not speak of this as well.
I just blame Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hunter's highest anticipated movie of the year is Wicked Part 1.
I haven't seen the trailer yet. I need to.
I still say, what the hell is Robert Eggers going to do with his version of Nosferatu? Dear Lord. After Northman and the Lighthouse and the Witch, what wicked twisted shit is he going to give us in December? Merry Christmas!
My expectations for Robert Eggers' Nosferatu are unfairly high. Like
it doesn't help, that you got Emma Corrin and Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Lily Rose Depp and Nicholas Hoult and Bill Skarsgård joining the. Of course, Willem Dafoe's in it. Duh. Oh, and Ralph Ineson reprising his turn from The Witch. Owen, do you think Criterion would ever do well, I guess to AJ as well.
Horrible.
Do you think Criterion would do a physical media release for Killers of the Flower Moon and Coda? No, because Apple are dicks. I don't think anything Apple has ever come out on home media release. Because they're that frightened that people will not buy that and not actually get Apple Plus, because that's more money for them.
Well, there was the Paramount argument for Killers.
Mm-hmm. Killers has a chance and Coda does.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, the fact that Killers and Napoleon are out there as like digital releases leaves it open, because if it's a Paramount and Apple co-production with both of them, there's a chance that they could get physical releases.
Well, they probably also have the stupid idea that they have to hold Coda hostage, which is what they're doing. Because it's almost like they're milking the fact that they were the first streamer to get a Best Picture winner. And it's like, oh, if we have that title, then we can't release it physically. Is what I'm afraid their thought process is. But it's like, no, if there's literally one movie you have besides Macbeth that you're going to put out physically, you'd fucking think it'd be their Best Picture winner.
Okay, so I'm looking at this. Apparently okay, so there is a physical release of Killers? Seemingly? I'm trying to work out what region it is. I mean, it's a 4K Blu-ray, so it exists. Okay, it's expensive as hell because it's probably an import. But hang on, it says it's PAL, which would mean it's not. Okay, now I'm really confused. I know it exists. Also, by looking at that, it says, oh, you want to get the holdovers, which apparently is coming out on home media on December the 1st, 2025, Dear God, I hope that's a placeholder. Otherwise, woof.
I've got mine already. I don't know what that is.
Well, only it's technically it's still in cinemas over here, because remember it opened sort of mid-January. So, Paul Waterhauser should have been nominated for Best Actor for Richard Jewell. If it was made now, he'd have got in over Domingo or Bradley Cooper. Oh, and apparently Wicked Part 1 is being just called Wicked now. They're that scared.
It still annoys me that there were. I mean, I don't really know Wicked, but I just know Wicked's reputation. And to know that I was in the same room as the person that wrote Wicked twice, and I did not know that's who they were. Because I've talked before about how, when I went to the screenings of Breaking Away in a Wedding that Paul Dooley was at where we met him. She's Paul Dooley's wife, and she wrote Wicked, and she was there with him, and I had no idea she was somebody. She's also like one of Larry David's therapists on Curb, and I just didn't know that at the time.
I didn't even.
And it drives me crazy.
Looking into Wicked, that's fascinating. Principal photography was very nearly completed, but then the SAG strike happened. Both films resumed filming on January the 24th and concluded on January the 26th. They were 3 days off being done. That's kind of crazy. Hunter says Ryan Gosling will one day win an Oscar. Trying to work out what he's got coming up other than Fall Guy. He's got to be doing something. Yeah, filmography. Tell me. No, not discography. Oh, wow, it literally just says Fall Guy. Great. I'll look into that some more in a minute. If Downey Jr. loses, it's basically a slap in the face to his career. I wouldn't go that far, but the fact that it also feels like it could be a career sort of acknowledgement for him.
And I would hate not to say that he would do this, because he seems to really be loving this appreciation for being like going back to his character actor roots. But it would terrify me if he lost at the last minute and it discouraged him enough that he stopped. Because this direction of meaty supporting parts is where he needs to be. And I wouldn't want anything to put him off going off this path. This is where he needs to be at the moment.
Oh, the only thing that Gosling's attached to is the Drew Goddard and Andy Weir written and Lord and Miller directed Project Hail Mary.
That can be insane.
Which I
with
guess,
those credits.
especially when you take into account that it's the story about a junior high school teacher turned astronaut who wakes up from a coma and gradually remembers he was sent to a different solar system 12 light years away to find a means of reversing a solar dimming event that could cause the extinction of humanity. And it's supposed to be I think it's supposed to be like the astronaut's gone there alone, so it might be technically a one-hander sort of, which would be
that concept got progressively more terrifying the more it went.
I'm trying to check if it is. Are there more than one people in the book? Hang on. No, it looks like it is just a one thing. Great.
So it's his moon essentially.
Or what the hell was the one with Hardy? Locke,
yeah, the Stephen Knight one.
because I feel there's gonna be voices on the end of like a message and everything.
Probably, yeah.
Some have entertained the idea of Annette Bening upset. I wouldn't say no to that given who she is and that SAG likes awarding Netflix, but Nia doesn't have as big of a profile at the minute, says Josie, which is fair. Imagine if Barbie goes home empty-handed, what will not happen, but if it did, do you think the Oscars will receive hate mail? They probably do anyway.
Um, yeah, they're gonna find a reason.
Mhm.
Even if the Oscars go off without a hitch and everybody should be happy, they'll find something. It'll be I'm waiting for the wave of Oppenheimer's overrated shit to come out. You know, everybody's gonna be fucking saying that soon if they're not already.
There was a time when I thought Barbie could be maybe given faux narratives, as AJ pointed out, but given how it has sort of sunken, I don't see that anymore. Since SAG likes to honour diversity, American Fictional Killers of the Flower Moon winning ensemble wouldn't shock me. Bryce says, as I have Barbie as Black Panther, where it wins SAG ensemble, but the Oscars it gets design categories and music. And nothing much.
That sounds logical.
Hunter has Nosferatu in the top 5 anticipated films. So ironic that the foe's in it when he was in Shadow of the Vampire. Good film. Speaking of horror films, are any of us David Cronenberg fans? There's a playlist, Hunter, catch up. At least from AJ.
Yeah, there's we've talked about Cronenberg on here, but not as much as I would probably like to. So there's probably more Cronenberg down the road, but there's still quite a bit of Cronenberg on this channel.
Yeah.
I didn't fully get.
Like I said,
I didn't fully get Crimes of the Future, but most of his stuff over the past couple of decades has been really top notch from Cronenberg.
yeah, I've tried Naked Lunch a couple of times, and that's the one that doesn't really gel with me as much. But I want to, I will keep watching that movie until I love it because I know there's something in there that I love somewhere in there.
And Hunter also brings up the new film again, The Shroud, where people can, connect with the dead, sort of thing. My only concern with it is it doesn't have as crunchy a cast as previous times, especially with Léa Seydoux, who I think he sort of really connected with Crimes of the Future, being in it and then dropping out to be replaced by Dan Kruger. So I don't know. Although the fact that Cronenberg says it's his most personal film, so well, does that mean you want somebody else to come, from the dead or something? Deal. I think that's it. So yeah, Sophie and notes and everything. Unlike last year, they've decided to they've worked out how to do live stuff on Netflix properly. I mean, I hope so. The wrestling's going to be on there in 10 months. They better get it sorted. So the show will be at... Go ahead.
Worth noting, when they put it on their YouTube channel, it went just fine.
Yes. So if it goes behind the paywall and goes to shit, we know the problem. I'm kind of amazed also that they want to put something behind the paywall when it's Barbra Streisand getting the Life Achievement Award. And at the same time, they put Nimona up for free. Whereas I'd have thought you want to keep that behind the paywall.
I say they're so fucking greedy at this point in Netflix. I'm surprised that Nimona thing had to be an accident. There's no way they're that generous.
I got it with Trial of Chicago 7 because it was obviously playing into the political rhetoric, which is coming back this year. But I don't think there's a political rhetoric in Nimona. But yeah, Netflix will have it at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. The Producers Guild of America Awards. You got no chance on. They don't stream that. But yeah, the IMDb and the Film Independent YouTube channels will be broadcasting an Independent Spirit Awards as well. So you will be able to catch those. And then we will be back Monday to round up all these things. And I'm trying to think, have we got anything else that week, Owen? Have you got the...
I don't have access to the schedule because it's quite literally on the phone I'm currently filming on.
Okay, hang on.
I don't think there would
I thought
be.
we had two this week, but I could be wrong.
Let me verify. No, that's March. That's the Oscar review. That's too far. No, there is nothing. I think as well, along with those three, just so we aren't just doing a short video randomly either on the Sunday or the Tuesday or whatever. We will discuss the WGA nominations as well during our SAG, Spirit, and PGA talk. Everything's about to fall. Brilliant. So, we'll be back next week live, but there's plenty of stuff to catch up on the channel. My gaming stuff is up, and a few snack stashes from the last few weeks have managed to pretty much get caught up with. There will be an Isaac video as well for tomorrow, from Sunday technically, but you know, to fit it in the schedule, it makes sense to do it there. The Voice of Liberty content and Owen Sip and Snacks will be coming soon, or whenever Owen gets time to film a lot more. So we have a stash. We have a stash, quite literally, ready to go. And then AJ's verses and movie reviews. Which what's the movies that we've got coming up, AJ? In the video.
The first one's gonna be Night Swim. That movie Jake Johnson directed with Anna Kendrick, and Rennie Harlan came back from the dead to do a movie with Aaron Eckhart. Because that's where Aaron Eckhart is right now.
Wow.
Oh.
That'll be. I'm trying to work out which of those is the worst. That's an interesting combo. Blimey. Anyway.
Well, remember these are holdovers from January, so.
Yeah, but usually January is at least one good film. I guess for me, technically, it was the holdovers, but that's because it was released over here later. Thank you, release gods. So you've got plenty to catch up on. In terms of socials, I can be found on Twitter /X at AshIsMyNameUK. Owen can also be found over there at SirOwenDisney. There's also the at Popcast Network account, but whatever. AJ, however, cannot be found on social media. And just like Keith Richards, also likes Barbara Streisand. I don't know.
Yeah, she's not
Allegedly.
Well, I hope, God, if we suddenly get a drunken rant with Keith Richards going, I fucking hate her. That'll be interesting. So we'll see. So with that, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to Bry, Hunter, Parsnip, and Josie being in the live chat. And those of you watching even on archive as well that weren't able to make it. Every view is privileged. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, get the notification bell icon pressed so you know when Streams are set to go live, and also videos are going public and everything. And until next time, everybody. That's how I've got a transition about that. So, words.